Hey guys, I hope everybody's having a fantastic day. Whether you're watching this in the morning, in the afternoon, or in the evening, I am glad you're here. Today we're going to do a knife comparison. Kind of do a side-by-side between my Axial gear, Alpine, Axial Knives Alpine, and the Boker AK1 American Tanto. I used to call them knife battles, but it's not really a battle. It's more of a comparison where we just look at a couple of knives, some of the differences, talk about them, and then I subjectively will go through and I will grade them, give them a point for each of these materials: ergonomics, carry, retention, aesthetics, sliciness, durability, value, and aesthetics, in my opinion. And then total them up, and one of them will come out on top. I can tell you right off the bat, these are both fantastic knives. Two of my favorite carries. I've really gotten to that 7-inch range that I really like. Before we get started, I do want to say thank you to all the channel members. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to anyone who takes the time to subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out. Who watches my videos when they come out. That really helps me out. And thank you for anybody who just comes in to check out one of my knife videos, an EDC video. I'm glad you're here. I hope you enjoy being here. And if you're so inclined, if you hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon next to it, it'll really help me out and let you know when new videos are coming out. So, without further ado, we've got the Boker Soligen Germany made AK1, a nice little daily carry EDC fixed blade that is made out of N690 with G10 handles with a little lanyard loop. And then we have the Axial Knives Alpine little EDC fixed blade, MagnaCut DLC coated blade on this particular one, also a Tanto, G10 handles, right around the same size. So the knives have a lot of similarities. One thing you'll notice, the Boker AK1 you can buy at Amazon. It is an imported knife, solid in Germany, N690, full tang for 130 bucks. I bought it, great price for a great knife. Then you've got the Axial. The Axial knives is a great value as well. These things were under 200 bucks on Black Friday. The DLC coated ones are $219 right now. So that's their everyday price, and that's for a USA made MagnaCut steel. Same G10 handles, but you also get a little titanium bead and lanyard, so that's a little something. But that's how they respectively price out. Not quite $100 difference, but close. I've also got the Boker AK1 Reverse Tanto in RWL 34. It's a $300 knife. And I've also got an Axial Knives Warncliffe that's not DLC, and it's a $189 knife. So this just gives us an idea when we get down to value, what we think about that. So the first is materials. So if you look at these knives subjectively, you've got very similar materials until you get down to the blade steel. You have got G10 handles, and then you've got the blade steel. So I've got N690 on my Boker, which is a fine EDC fixed blade steel. And then I've got MagnaCut on my Axial. So with those two things being the main difference in materials, I'm going to have to give that point, with my subjective opinion, to the MagnaCut, because I like MagnaCut better than N690 if I had to choose one or the other. So what we do there is we give a slosh over there on the Axial side. Ergonomics. Now these knives are very similar in how they feel in hand. They're both ergonomically designed very, very well. When you look at the profiles, they're similar. Very similar. When you go and you grip them, you'll notice that even though the Alpine has a thinner blade, it's got a little bit thicker scales. So it sits in the hand just a little bit thicker the way it feels. Now, this Boker feels just a tiny bit thinner, which to me preferably, I kind of like that. For a light EDC, let's see if it's even noticeable. 0.45, 0.47. So it's a little bit, but pretty much negligible, I would say. But when I look at these ergonomically, it's hard for me to say that one feels that much better than the other. They both feel, with my eyes closed, very similar. I could definitely tell the difference because of the texture, the checkered versus the diagonal lines. But that is in my subjective opinion, ergonomics, I can't give a point to either because they kind of come out the same, right? So next we come up to carry. Now, these are how both of these knives shipped. The Boker shipped with this Kydex sheath and this Boker internal I do all these as pocket droppers. And this clip works very well. Right now I'm putting it in my back pocket as we speak. It works very well, but you've got to overcome this little lip right here. Let's see if I can. This little lip right here. And then you got to use your finger to pull this really tight tension spring to get that over your hem and then close it down. So it carries very well. Since they have a similar profile in terms of the shape and the size, this knife being a little thinner in the blade but a little thicker in the handle, it ships with an Ulti-Clip. For me, this Ulti-Clip system, I like a discreet carry, which is another brand, better in terms of my favorite probably clip carry if it's not a sheath, but I prefer the Ulti-Clip miles over this clip. Both of them will retain the knife just fine to where you can draw it. You don't have to worry about it falling out. Very secure retention. However, the ease of putting that clip in and taking that clip out, to me, subjectively give the advantage to the Axial on retention. So it will get yet another point. So then it comes to, why do I have aesthetics on there twice? Because I'm brain dead. Then it comes to aesthetics. This is the most subjective part of this overview. So you've got two knives that look very similar. Okay, you've got a full flat grind on the Axial. You've got a 3/4 grind on the Boker. You've got a little bit different compound grind on the Boker, compound grind but not as severe on the Axial. You do have the DLC coating here, but they also make this in a stonewash. When it comes down to aesthetics, they both look very similar. However, I'm a huge fan of the Daily Carry Boker collaboration, this AK1. I'm going to give aesthetics, even though they look to you guys and to me very similar. Small things like the difference in the stonewash and the satin blade, just a few things that I like. Now you got the swedge on the Axial that you don't have on the Boker, but I've got to give the Boker a bone, and this is so subjective, I can easily give that one to the Boker. Because now we get into sliciness. Sliciness is going to be a combination of blade geometry and the edge that's on it. One thing I will say about the Axial is it has a much better sharpening choil than the Boker. But when we go to sliciness, the DLC coating is going to make a difference in our sound. So the Boker is as slicey as you could want. The Axial, slicey as you could want. It makes a different sound because you've got that coating. It's not as smooth. So when we look at those front tips, and then of course pokiness. They're both very pokey, very stabby. I believe the Boker may get a little bit thinner behind the edge. It might be just on this test in terms of the cleanness of the cut, just a little bit slicier than the Axial. I personally think that's because of the DLC, but I'm going to give the sliciness to the Boker in this subjective comparison. So now we come to durability. Durability means a lot of things. It means which knife's going to be harder to use, which knife's going to be stronger, which knife is going to hold up better when you have to push it past some of those things. And I will say that the tip is thicker on the Boker. However, the MagnaCut on the Axial makes me think it's probably going to be more balanced and probably have a little bit more toughness than the N690, or be more durable. I could be wrong there. And I'm not talking about just like blade chips, little things like that. What I'm talking about is just the overall durability of the knife. So both of these knives are very durable. I mean, they're simple, full tang constructed knives. We could take them apart and you'll see that there's some weight relief in both of them, but they are both full tang construction. I think, looking at both of them, that they are going to be very comparable in durability. So I'm going to give that a wash. I'm not going to give one to the other. So here's where it gets weird, guys. And again, these are both great knives. These are both knives that are amongst my favorites. I could recommend either one. It comes down to value. I've got a knife for $130 in N690 with a little bit different sheet, clip, not a proprietary clip, that works and performs great. Made in Solingen, Germany. And then I've got a MagnaCut, USA made, full tang construction, same G10 handles, a little bit nicer checking in my opinion. The pattern is a little bit nicer, a little bit more intricate. You get a titanium lanyard bead, which you can figure that's going to cost you 15 bucks anywhere. $219. So if these knives were identical, if this was not DLC, we'd be talking about $189 for this knife finished like this. So you'd be $189 and $130. So if it's not DLC, these knives list for $189 every day, not Black Friday. They were $169 on Black Friday. So when it comes down to value, call me a made in USA guy. I've got to give the value to Axial to keep this knife right around $200, to have it be made out of the knife steel that a lot of the community is calling for, MagnaCut, to do it so well with the nice swedge, nice compound grind. It's just a beautifully done knife. I think it's produced probably in smaller batches than the Boker, which stands to reason because I'm sure there's a much bigger market for the Boker AK1, which is also a great knife, a knife that I love, have no issues with. But when it comes down to value, guys, $189 if we're looking at apples and apples, take the DLC out of it, to $130, I think the value goes to the Axial, which gives it 3 to 2, which means in this comparison, if it was going to be a battle, I think Axial would come out on top. And that is my subjective opinion. Would I be happy tomorrow if I could only have one of these knives and somebody was going to determine that for me? Would I be disappointed with either one? No. I think both of these knives are great. What I would do is, as good as this Boker clip is I would swap it out with a deep concealment or with an ulti clip. When I say good, it's not going to come out of your pocket. It is going to be a puzzle and a little bit frustrating getting it in and out of your pocket. But guys, I just wanted to kind of throw that content out there. It's a little bit different. Let me know in the comments if it sucks, if it's something you're interested in. I could compare a lot of knives that are very similar, that I both highly recommended, but that are different, right? And we could look at them together, or we could kind of move on. So let me know what you think. Thank you for watching. Anybody that's here, I appreciate you. I do ask, if you would, hit the like button, but most importantly, look out for the guy or gal to your left, look out for the guy or gal to your right, look out for each other, go forward with love in your hearts, and choose debate, not hate. I love you all. Peace.